Hola!
Hey guys, good
You
to see
are
you again.
welcome to our YouTube channel.
Yep, you're welcome to our YouTube channel. If you're watching us for the first time, I'm Dara.
And I am Ollie. Yeah.
Yep,
So, on the 21st of April,
yep.
we celebrated our first year anniversary,
Whew.
which felt so surreal.
Mm-hmm.
Doing like 1 year in marriage and stuff. Whew. That's I mean, when I see people that have done like 50 years in marriage, I'm like,
Yeah, eh,
I cut cap
it's
for
a
you
height.
guys.
That's a height.
Yeah, because when they tell you that marriage is hard work, believe them, it is actually hard work.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard work. But anyway, we're here to just share like 5 lessons that we have both learned in the last 1 year of marriage, and that will just allow the rest to
Yeah,
get
so I
started.
mean, it's 1 year in retrospect. Let me just put this caveat that we are not experts in this. We are not
Yes, so
professionals. This is
very
not
important.
an advice to you. I don't think we have gotten that badge. But this is just us sharing from our experience, and hopefully it's relevant to you or not, right? So my first experience, or my first lesson is, marriage takes two people, two willing people, and two willing people is very important, and it's as important as how long the marriage will last, as long as the two people continue to remain willing. And please understand that I am emphasizing willing people, the willingness of the people, the will of the people, deciding and accepting to want to be together, right? This has to be in the fall. As long as the will exists, then there will be opportunities where you would express that will. There will be opportunities for you to drive and ensure that your marriage still remains intact. As long as that will stays, then I think the marriage stays. When someone out of the two is not willing anymore, definitely it becomes a struggle. So the two people have to, be in that state of mind where they both of them want the marriage to work and stay. It just takes two willing people, no matter what circumstance.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep,
Do I go next?
yep, that's fun.
Okay, so I think the other part is tied around having number one, like, so it's tied between knowing yourselves and having like conversations. So one of the greatest gifts I think that we both had for ourselves was going for the marriage counseling class. Shout out to Auntie Jackie. If you're about to go for like a marriage counseling, if you're about to get married, I would advise that you go for a marriage counseling class, and I would just leave maybe her link, her Instagram link, her website in the description below. But it was in that conversation that I actually, or in that marriage counseling, that I actually found a lot about myself. I actually think I used to think that I'm somebody who likes to have conversations. Of course I do like to have conversations, but one thing I actually do not like is confrontations. And guess what? I didn't even know this about myself. I actually do not enjoy confrontation. So instead of me to just go right in, I will just avoid it altogether. And on the other hand, I have a man who likes to have conversations and go head on with it. So you can imagine the struggle that we had for a bit when he's trying to reach out to me and I keep shutting him out. So it was really crazy. But the good thing is that over time, and that's why I said it is tied, having the conversation thing and knowing yourself. He was very patient with me, was very kind, to even talk me through it. And even like I even had to communicate the way I would like to be spoken to, because if you force it, it just may not happen. And he was able to actually learn that. And I think since then, like, I don't think we've had like any unnecessary thing that will make us like flame up. I don't know.
Yeah, just to weigh in a bit on that, you know, I think communication is really important
Yeah,
because and also knowing yourself as well. I think that's the
they're
height of
really
it.
tight. Yeah.
If you do not know yourself, you don't know what your faults might be. Um, you are a bit blinded, and then you can't make a very good partner
Mm-hmm.
because it will be difficult for your other partner to really know you because you don't know yourself, and it's easy for you to you know frustrate the effort of the other partner. I'm trying to choose my words carefully actually, but I'm just saying that it starts by knowing who you are, your personality, what you have done, seeing the kind of decisions you have made, knowing that okay, this could have been done better, and my partner brings this to the table, and when it comes to these sort of things, maybe I listen, maybe I those kind of stuff, those compromises there. And it brings me to my second point, which
Mm-hmm.
is the third point that we're giving overall, that marriage is full of compromise.
Mm.
It's a lot of compromise, and at every point in time, there's somebody compromising.
Yeah.
You know, even in the most simple things, right? Somebody is actually deciding to take a compromise. Except both of you are exactly the same, which is almost impossible for you to have people who are exactly the same personality, the same attitude, right? But if you're not exactly the same, at some point, and most often, somebody will be doing the compromise. Now, you know, what I'll say is that you need to come in with the compromise mindset. Let both parties come in with the compromise mindset. Come into the marriage knowing that you are willing to give and give and give and give, right? And it's good for both parties to be in the same mindset. The reason why that is important is because that way, right? You don't get to exploit the other person because the situation where the other person is giving, the other person is searching for the next situation to compromise as
Mm-hmm.
well. And that way, both of you just keep, it's making sacrifice for each other, self-sacrificing for each other. It is healthy, it is beautiful, it is good. It's also a way to show love, right? But also it should be checked as well, so that you don't self-sacrifice into a negative vice. So there needs to be a balance with this thing, so that you
Mm-hmm.
don't go overboard into a negative vice because you want to compromise. You need to first of all have a boundary of good and bad, what is acceptable, what is not. Within those boundaries, you can make compromises.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm happy you brought up the boundary part because it was actually even tied to the first point I wanted to give. You know, one of the things that we did was to actually say in our home, this is what is going to be, and this is what is not going to be. This is acceptable, and this is not acceptable. And we both held ourselves accountable. For anybody who crossed the line, you just have to tell the other person that, see, this was an agreement we had, and you did this. So from what he said, like, it's actually very important that those rules are stated because it just helps you with the foundation of the foundation to build the ideal home that you want. So my own second point would be that you have to have, like, you have to find ways to bond and connect. If you're not careful, marriage can be boring because where you just do the routine things. You wake up, do the house, make food, maybe go to work, come back, make food again, have conversations of, oh, what happened for your day, and then that's it. Then maybe you go to bed and then you have sex and then that's it. But marriage is way beyond all of these things, to be honest. So you have to constantly find ways to bond, find ways to connect. Some of the things that we have done for both ourselves is, like, we try to make sure that on Friday nights is usually our time to just sit together. Like, we do this every other night, but like, we already know, it's established in our head that Friday night is some like somewhat special night. for us to be together, see a movie together, usually over like wine and maybe some fried chicken or something, you know. Sometimes we go out, you know. Sometimes we take a very long walk where we have conversations, you know. The last time we had a walk, we're talking about our relationship together, you know. We're talking about our vision together. You know, sometimes we play games, you know. So these are some of the things that, you know, we do. And as we, you know, continue, we are looking forward to like adding other things like trips, having like couple night out with our other couple friends. You know, these are some of the things that can actually help you bond together, be together. It's not boring. It's not the usual that happens, right? So it's actually very important to always keep the relationship fresh and interesting. Yeah.
Yep. So my third point would be believe in the principle of multiplicity through marriage. And I don't want to be very biblical with this, but I think that's the real foundation because I also understand that we have different audience type. But you know, whether you're biblical or not, marriage is indeed a multiplicity in its sense, right? As it is, it's one plus one coming together. At the least form is an addition, so that's two, right?
Yeah.
You know, and two is definitely different from one. There's some growth, but for me, I don't believe it's one plus one. I believe it's a compounded multiplicity. And if you believe in this, you know, you can, you know, push through the benefit of having an additional thought head or an additional person in your life. I believe in it and I've seen it work. In fact, my mantra, even before we started, is that one can chase 1,000 and two will chase 10,000. That's the way I look at it. So there's a multiplicity effect that comes with marriage, and this effect can be seen in different aspects of your life. You know, just having that efficiency, right? With having the other person who is able to make you more efficient because they're available, giving you their time. There's another person who, you know, there's a shared resources. There's also another opinion on the table. You know, if you're open-minded, you're welcoming, you know, you love this person, there is that advantage of multiplicity that can be reaped from marriage. Please do not miss it. I think it's one of the most beautiful things about marriage, the fact that that advantage of multiplicity in every aspect of life. I'm telling you, I've seen it. You know, I've experienced it, and I'm still experiencing it, even though it's been a short time, but it's real.
Yeah, so my third point is going to be about, you know, both of you being against the world. No matter what happens in your marriage, you need to understand that it is both of you, you know. I'm not going to promise you that it's all going to be rosy. You see, in fact, some days you're actually going to even scream at your partner and say, "You don't love me, you don't love me," you know. Sometimes it may happen that way, you know. Hopefully it doesn't. You know, sometimes you just need to ask yourself like, oh, like, what am I doing in this marriage? Should I even have gotten married? Are you sure I shouldn't have gotten some more time? Sometimes you're going to ask yourself that question. But you need to know that it is both of you against the world at the end of the day. Do not be in a hurry to join the trend of, oh, I want to like leave my marriage. Do not do that, because that place you're thinking that it is greener, I promise you it is not greener. As long as your partner is not abusive in any way, either physically, emotionally, financially, or whatever, you know, as long as the person is a great guy or a great person, that's your partner or your spouse, they're great, they're great people, you know, you just have to work it out. Ask yourselves the right questions, right? It is both of you against the world. No family, don't make the mistake of talking to your family about your husband or your wife, you know, because the moment both of you are together, that person becomes your first family, you know. So no matter what it is, you know, the decisions, I had to learn You know, I remember when we got married newly, my husband would always complain, and even it's something that I'm still learning. You know, he would always complain that when I want to like rub minds or I have something on my mind, I go and talk to another person and he's here with me. You know, but it wasn't intentional. You know, it was just the fact that for the longest time in my life, I've just been all by myself, and that's how I actually rub minds with people around me. You know, but then I had to, by the time he started talking about it and I saw that he was taking it seriously, you know, I had to begin to like make intentional efforts. Like even a few days ago I stayed Jabosef, you know. I had to
Expensive
make
resource, so
I had to make like
premium
I have
content.
can you allow me talk? I have to I had to start making like
Yeah.
intentional moves, you know, such that whenever I have something on my mind or something to say, I go to him first, you know. Even before, even if I want to talk to somebody, I tell him, oh, see what I want to tell this person, can I go ahead? You know. So it's just something that you have to keep learning to be very, especially if you're like, and if you've always been an independent person on your own. I promise you, you're going to struggle a bit. You know, you're going to struggle a bit, but if you keep um practicing, you know, if you take your partner seriously, then you will fall in line. And this is also tied to the fact that you always have to like look for that one or two thing that drives you crazy about your partner, you know, so that when it feels like both of you are like angry at each other or you're quarreling, you will remember that thing and say, ah, I beg you, I'd rather have you, you know, let it be both of us against the world than going out, you know. So like it's something that has helped me over and over again. Like whenever we, you know, have issues, or those days we have used to have issues, because I think we've matured a lot from our fights, you know. So those days when we used to have issues, at the end of the day, I just remember certain things, the things that drew me to him, you know, at first, the things that I actually appreciate about him, you know. I begin to think about all those things, and it just sort of calms me down, and you know, we get to have conversations, and at the end of the day I just know that this person, I have to hold him, because this is both of us against the world at the end of the day, right?
Yep. Well, that's interesting. I think my fourth point is, when you come into marriage, don't feel like you won't make mistakes. It's not a perfect. You're not perfect.
Yeah.
You don't have to be, right? You just need to be, you know, true to yourself, vulnerable and thoughtful. You know, you're not perfect. You're gonna make mistakes. Your partner is also gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
Do not do not judge your partner over a mistake. You know, the how I'm looking at the best way to put it. So let me create two scenarios. Let's say that your partner does something that you do not like, right? And you know that this thing you don't like it. This is bad. Your partner, it's really bad, right? Let's even say your partner cheats or something like that, or does something crazy. You know, make concessions for your partner on the basis of original or true repentance. That's the way I see it. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to do things that you're not really proud of at some point in time. You're not perfect, right? But the important thing is that you have the mindset to say, okay, I really want to be with this person. This is the person I choose. This is what I want to do, and I am I am committed to making sure that I move past this and not do it again and let it not happen again. It's all about this was done or I made this mistake. I am committed to ensure that it doesn't happen again. I'm putting the work in. I am sincere, right? I'm thoughtful. And this can be any kind of mistakes because this is like a lifelong journey, right? It can be any mistake. But the idea here is that you still conceive your partner as the person you want to be with. If you, at any point in time, decide that this is not the person for me, right? then you can't make concessions. You can't, then what are you doing? But if you believe that this is the person for me, I've made a mistake or I have said something I shouldn't say, I realize it that it's been done, right? I'm willing to make amends. I'm willing to repent from it. I'm willing to improve myself on it. You guys are just a work in progress. That way you begin to evolve, right? And over time you begin to see that those mistakes, those characters that your partner, that you exhibit towards your partner, that that they do not like, and you're sincere about them and you want to change, you begin to see that you actually change over time, right? You begin to change because you've chosen the person is influencing you, you're true to yourself, you believe in the process, you will get better.
Yeah.
So do not just over a mistake, do not just say, oh, I've made a mistake, or I can never marry, I can never continue again, this mistake it has killed us. It's as long as it's a mistake. But if it is something that you intentionally say, this is what I want to, or this is how I want to do it, and I don't want to repent, then it's up to you.
It's a different ballgame.
Yeah. But I just know that marriage is not a place where you come in as, with the scent cloak, right? That, okay, I can't make mistake, I can't do anything, I can't, no. Just come in with a pure heart. That's all you need to come in with.
Yeah. And I think my fourth point is going to be about mutual love and respect. These two things are very important in a relationship, and even in a marriage. Even the Bible says, husbands love your wives respect your husbands, and I mean, you can actually even begin to ask the question, like, why did God tell the husbands to love their wives and then the wives to respect? There's been a lot of speculations, of course. If you go online and watch videos about these topics, you see how people distilled all of those points and talked about why respect is important to men and love is really important to women. But I also feel like it has to be mutual. It has to be mutual. I love and respect my husband, and I believe that he loves and respects me as well. When it comes to like decision makings, having conversations, even our vision, all these things pretty much. So it's really important for you as the woman to understand that your husband, I remember somebody told us and said, your husband is the chief priest of your home, and that stuck with me. When you begin to see it like that, he's the spiritual head of your family. You have to trust him to lead. You have to as long as you have a smart person, somebody who understands leadership, and you should be able to trust the person to lead your home. And if you are, why would you marry somebody who you don't trust to lead you anyway? If you understand what I mean. So for you to actually commit to say, I want to get married to this person, it means that you're trusting him, to lead you, in decision making, to lead your home spiritually, to lead your home physically, and things like that. And then also on the part of the husband, loving, caring for your wife, paying attention to what she says, just being there generally, those little times, when she feels a bit off, her mood feels off. I know sometimes my husband, when I'm just like, but he just comes around, babe, do you want some tea? Little things like that just makes you know that this person is around, like this person sees you, despite all of that, and it just helps, it just helps the marriage. So yeah, mutual love and respect is actually very important and something that you should never joke with, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I think my final point, oh, there we go. My final point is the fact that it takes three. Marriage takes three. And the reason why I say this is, again, I don't mean to be super religious or super biblical in this, But I think it's a principle that has worked based on, like we said in the beginning, this is based on our experience. Um, Marriage actually takes three overall. And I would relate this to the triangle that I was explaining to them, the fact that, marriage is like a triangle, and then you have the husband here and the wife here, and then you have God, right, at the top. And the more the wife and the husband goes closer to God, the closer they come together. I don't know if you get the analogy. So, if it's a triangle, one is here, and God is here, the more you go up, the lesser the distance between you. And I mean, I'm very rational in my thinking, right? I'm not very quick to jump on any, religious bandwagons. But this one is the one that I see. This theory does make sense, even from a psychological point of view as well. So if there is anybody that you actually share vulnerability with, in a spiritual, world, you go to share vulnerability, you put your trust in God or whatever you serve. If you're able to worship together with a person for long mutually, and both of you are sharing your desires, casting out your aspiration, praying together, singing, worshiping together, loving together, and sharing all those other physical and emotional things together, the spiritual side of things that you do together will also help you, because now your fears are the same, your aspirations are the same, you're coming to God together, so you're telling you there is a should I say, there's a spiritual confluence that you're actually making there, and it actually brings you together. I'm trying to explain this from also a rational point of view, not just the biblical point, because the biblical point is very simple. The more you go to God as a couple, right, the more you actually, the more you get closer together. You can't hate somebody that you pray for, with all sincerity, and that's the same way. And remember, God is love, right? He's the author and finisher of this emotion that we actually feel for each other. So you go to the origin, the source of it, and it just brings you closer. It makes you more you can try it out. Just pray together with your wife, maybe every day or once a week, continuously. You see that, even after a quarrel. I remember there was a day that we just finished having a small argument, and then we were supposed to pray like 30 minutes after that. And I was like, what the hell? Well, of course, we still had to do that prayer. And, after that prayer, you just felt like the quarrel even died before we even discussed the matter about the quarrel. Because we had to just discuss it first, maybe, see, before we pray. That thing, I didn't like, well, that's how it goes, man. That's all from me, yeah?
Yeah. So my last point is going to be about having a vision, which is very important. Both of you need to have a vision.
Yeah.
For exactly where you're headed. And this vision is spread across different things. Your spiritual vision, your financial vision, and that's at the end, and that's why it still points back to knowing yourself. Whatever it is that you're looking for in somebody to be a partner, it is actually important that you embody those things as well. So for example, you want a husband that is rich. How much they make? You want a husband that is spiritually sound. How spiritually sound can you be? Because he said something about influence, right? If you're not getting it right, you can actually be the that may mess the other person up. So if both of you are like people who have built themselves individually, and or are still, and you're still building yourselves individually, of course, and you come together, it just helps and makes things easy, right? you have a vision of where you're headed. Oh, we want to be able to have like 5 houses in our 10th year marriage. We want to have like maybe 10 businesses. We want to have like $100 million. We want to have 3 children. We want to draw close to God. We want to be able to give like 80% of our earnings to a charity. You know, when you have all those visions and you put them on the table, it also helps to know if, okay, both of, and this should not be just in the marriage, these things have to start from the relationship side, because that now helps you to know if both of you have visions that align. Because if it doesn't align, then there's no need to go to the altar, right? Because those things will actually help you guys get into the marriage, and then you even find yourselves bonding over these things, to be honest. So for example, all your visions, you want to build a business and all of that, you see yourself constantly having conversations about it. Okay, how do we go about it? Do we need to work to raise some money? Okay, do we start small and do this? You know, it just helps a whole lot. But when there's no vision, an individual vision, it will be hard to even have like a collective vision. And then it's just as if we are just going wherever the road leads, and that's not fair, you know, because you also need to see your marriage as a tool that God is also using, you know, to do whatever it is that he wants to do. You have to see your marriage that way as well. You have to see your marriage, if you're not spiritual, you have to see your marriage as you know, a platform to bless yourselves and to even bless those around you, right? And this can only happen when there is a vision that both of you can hold on to.
Yep.
Right? So there's actually a whole lot to be said about marriage, to be very honest. But like he said, we are not experts. We are learning. We are growing as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the marriage class or marriage advice.
At all. Because we're sounding so serious from the beginning.
Yeah, this video is one of our super serious. I've never been this serious in our video.
But that's because marriage is serious anyway.
Anyway,
you know, marriage is a serious ball
that's
game.
cool. And what we just wanted to share this, and it also helps us as well, because it also brings us to the point of you know, acknowledgement, and the point of you know, it takes us a little bit more above knowing, you know, when you say it, when you confess it,
that's right.
Yep.
That's right. So
thank you guys.
Thank you so much. I wanted to just say one point before we go.
Yep. What are you saying?
You see, no matter all this is that we're saying is wonderful, you know, and I think that sex is also a very, 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 very vital part of marriage. You know, is it? It's like Guinea. You know, but that's not the conversation. But I just want you to know that it's actually very, very important. It can help you solve your quarrel. It can help you take away stress. It can do all manner of things and help you guys bond together. It's a form of worship of your, you know, using your bodies. It is true, babe. It is true.
Yeah.
It is true, you know. So
you have given 6 points now.
No, I'm just saying general point.
You're adding Jara.
It's a Jara.
So our own is between me and you now. We now have, you know, Bolingo. Sorry. We now have this one, which is our secret sauce. Our soy sauce.
Yeah. It's not soy sauce. Guys, I'm back. Bye-bye. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.
No. We have to finish this.
What do you want
now? We must finish it, because you now say that this sex is between the two of us. So the 5-5 that we said earlier is not between the two of us.
It's between the two of us. It's not just Jara. Like you give an analogy now of husband, wife, and then God, right? So you stack the 5. You stack it, and then just at the top.
At the top, you now put sex. You remove God.
No.
You remove God.
How can I remove God?
Okay, so where did God go from?
You can't even say you want to remove or add God in the marriage, because it is like this, inseparable.
I understand. So
it's inseparable. It's like you trying to.
This triangle is different from that other one. This one is the triangle of our.
That's why I said let me give an analogy. I'm not using that analogy, and I'm not saying God is at the top. As I said, you start 5, and then you put cells at the top.
cherry on
Yeah, I think
Cherry.
maybe I should have used that.
the cake.
You know, it's the icing on the cake.
Oh, this girl, I rap with them. Yeah, we'll see you later. Oh?
Bye, guys. See you
Bye.
next week.